President Obama has shown he's willing to politicize student loans, contraception, the Trayvon Martin shooting, virtually anything else he finds politically expedient. So it's not surprising that the Obama campaign has released a new video praising our brave president for ordering that strike that killed Osama bin Laden. But at the same time, that ad, which is narrated by former President Bill Clinton, suggests that Mitt Romney would not have made the same decision. Watch this.
Look, he knew what would happen. Suppose the Navy SEALs had gone in there and it hadn't been bin Laden. Suppose they'd been captured or killed. The downside would have been horrible for him. But he reasoned. I cannot in good conscience do nothing. He took the harder and the more honorable path, and the one that produced, in my opinion, the best result.
It's not worth moving heaven and earth, spending billions of dollars just trying to catch one person. He was referring to the hunt for Osama bin Laden.
He had to decide. And that's what you hire a president to do. You hire the president to make the calls when no one else can do it.
The Obama campaign asked President Clinton to star in this ad, and that's ironic, considering that according to the 9/11 Commission, Clinton took a pass on at least 3 opportunities to kill or capture bin Laden when he was president. You also remember that back in 2008, Obama criticized Hillary Clinton for politicizing national security matters, including the hunt for Osama bin Laden. Joining me with reaction is syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor Charles Krauthammer. Charles, thanks a lot for coming on.
It's a pleasure, Tucker.
So you heard our last segment with Frank Luntz, who suggested that the next 6 months is just going to be an avalanche of negative ads. You've watched a lot of campaigns. Have the ads gotten more negative, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's become completely negative. And I said somewhere else once that, when this campaign is going to be so dirty, that my advice is hide the children and hire a plumber, because you're going to have to shower several times a day. This is total negativity. People often ask me, why is it that Congress, Washington in general, is held in such low esteem by the population? They're about 9% approval, Gaddafi country. And, I say it's not because they're lying, thieving hypocrites. That's not enough of an explanation. I think the other part of it is that American politics is the only enterprise, the only industry in this country where people spend millions of dollars on negative ads against each other. Imagine that you had negative ads in airlines. Instead of fly the friendly skies of United, they show the scene of a plane crash and they say, you want to die, fly Delta. I can assure you that if you had 2 weeks of those kinds of ads, 2 weeks of that, not a year and a half of that. If you had to go to Disney World from L.A., you'd pack the car. Nobody would go near an airplane. This is the relentless, every 2 years, Americans watch hundreds of ads describing the other guys, which means everybody, as the worst, the lowest human being. And they're shocked and surprised that people hold politicians in low esteem.
That is a fantastic point. They're hurting the brand, I guess is what you're saying, the brand of politics. So to give you an example of the reason that people hold these folks in pretty low regard, there was a famous ad, you'll remember it, of course, from 2008 in which Hillary Clinton said of her primary opponent, Barack Obama, in effect, he's not ready. The major foreign policy decisions the president has to make, and he's not up to them. She included in a montage of photographs Osama bin Laden's image. This was the Obama campaign's response to that ad, and I'm quoting. It's ironic Hillary Clinton, would borrow the president's tactics in her own campaign and invoke bin Laden to score political points. We already have a president who plays the politics of fear. Right. Well, I guess politics of fear, it's in the eye of the beholder, because here the current president, the man who issued the statement, is doing exactly the same thing, is he not?
He is, although I must say I would make a distinction here between the 2 parts of that ad you showed about Osama bin Laden. Look, you can run a positive ad saying, here's the president, he had a tough decision to make, he made it, he risked a lot, and he succeeded. perfectly legitimate, and that's not really to politicize. This is a real historical event. He took a risk, fine. What really sours that ad, and I think will probably have a negative effect on the viewer, negative towards Obama, is this sliming of Romney at the same time. There was no reason to make it a negative ad. First of all, does anybody really believe that there's anybody who'd been in the Oval Office who would have had all of that information, knowing that we can get the guy, we have the information that's likely to be true, and that we could actually get him and not make that decision? I'm not sure people assume that the president would not. Second, when they try to draw the conclusion that Romney would not have approved, what do? You don't have a direct quote from Romney. And that's what you get used to in these ads. You sort of expect to hear it from his mouth. You hear sort of something obliquely referring to it by a newsman. And to imply that Romney, who actually had a case, when he said, look, you can kill the guy, it's important to do, that's fine. But that's not the end of the war on terror. And when you kill him, there's going to be another guy behind him. And everybody understands that that is true. It's not the end of the war on terror. It was a kind of exhilarating sense of if you like, revenge or at least relief when was killed. But the war continues, if not in Afghanistan, the war continues in Yemen, in Somalia. So what Romney was making was a legitimate point. And I think by turning it negative against him, by making an assumption that's entirely unwarranted, he would not have done it. I think the ad works against itself to some extent.
So what do you make exactly of the recruitment of Bill Clinton to do the voiceover for this ad? Considering, his record on Osama bin Laden is something that all the Clinton people are embarrassed of. I think it's ignoble. It's certainly hard to defend. Why him?
Well, of course, I'm sure it's all done by focus groups. He's a popular guy. People like ex-presidents, generally speaking. And there are not that many people who know that in 1996, when the Sudan expelled Osama bin Laden, they offered him to the United States. At least that is what's flatly stated in the book, The Looming Tower, by Lawrence Wright, winner of the Pulitzer Prize, which is a history of al-Qaeda. And he says the defense minister of Sudan offered the Clinton administration Osama bin Laden. And President Clinton himself in 2002 said that we did not take him because we didn't have enough evidence to hold him. The FBI didn't have enough evidence to indict him, which is a way to look at, how the Clinton administration totally misread and misunderstood the war on terror as if it was a matter of law enforcement instead of a war. Now, there is some dispute over whether it was a real offer or not, but at least Lawrence Wright has no question in his mind that it was. So it is ironic that the man who let him go, we could have had him in our prison and held him forever, is the man who's doing the voiceover on an ad about the killing of Osama bin Laden.
We may need to make up a new word, actually. It takes an awful lot of brass. Charles Krauthammer, thanks very much for coming on. I appreciate it.